Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am your host, Scotty 827, joined live in studio by the fantastic, the chewiest of chewies, Chewie. I guess that's, I don't know.
Well,
It's morning and
hey,
afternoon for you. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm doing really well.
I'm really glad to talk to you about all the stuff that we've got to catch up on since it's been what now, like 3 months since we talked.
Yeah, it was yeah, it's been I think almost exactly 3 months. It's been the weekend after the Town Hall 17 dropped
Oh wow!
back in December.
So Chewie is a co-leader in the House of L, a rock star, General Chewie, as he is known in the clan, in organizing and running our CWLs. And I don't, you just make it look so easy. It's kind of wild. Uh, so what's new? What's been happening since we last talked? And I guess there's kind of a lot.
Yeah, so I think the last time I was on, I was being very negative about Town Hall 17 and saying how easy it was, and these fire spitters are terrible. And I think I went on a bit of a rant, to be honest. But it was suddenly then, I think around about mid-January, which is, to be fair, what most content creators were predicting, the game started to get a bit harder because obviously all the new defenses got leveled up. And I have to be honest, I found January really tough
Yeah.
in the game. I was using, I think, like most people, I was using the Root Rider attack just around about when 17 dropped. And then, what was it? All of a sudden, the Spirit Walk. I mean, the Spirit Walk already was a bit of a thing, but I think then it became a lot more prevalent. And I switched across to that and suddenly found, oh, wow, I can 3-star again. Because I think I went through like a couple of weeks of not being able to buy a 3-star.
Really?
Um, And then I think I watched a shock video because I knew he was coming on your show, and I watched the one that he put out about Super Hog Riders, and I've been loving the game since
Are
then. I
are you?
love I love Super Hog Riders, and I'm tripling much more consistently and leveling up the base.
Are
That's
you
going quite well.
are you running that in Legend League?
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty much exclusively. I mean, on my main, I'm doing exclusively the Super Hog Riders. I think since I picked that up, I haven't put it down once. It's and I'm getting on average between 5 and 6 triples a day, which is like really good for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's I know I've seen some people that they'll go perfect for an entire day. I've never ever gone perfect for a day, so I've
Yeah.
never got to that level. So it's not like it always works, but it's
I think it
no,
was.
it tends to it makes more sense to me with I think the way I like to approach the game with a bit of a more of a strategic opener, which you can do with the obviously with the Spirit Walk. You can step one side of your funnel and drop my heroes down with a log launcher to then push into the core to take out the town hall, and then the super hogs get followed by the warden and the recalled RC, and they just take out the rest of the rest of the defenses, usually on the outside of the core. So yeah, with the right base, it's incredibly devastating, and you can afford to mess up.
Really?
Miss. Yeah, I've found. I mean, there's been times where I will misdrop a heal spell, or I'll forget to put down my
Oh
RC when I'm
God.
meant to, and then it's like, oh no, it's gonna go all wrong.
Like if you lose
Um,
her, you could still maybe pull it out.
you can, yeah. I mean, the RC is really important, mostly because of the fact that if there's any heroes that you still need to take out, then he will target them. And the Super Hog Riders, as long as your Warden's got the what is it, the healing gem, the healing gem, the life gem, then they've got enough
Oh.
health to kind of push through always. But you need the RC really with to target those heroes.
So
Um,
you're sending her at okay. This is I yeah. So sometimes it's just embarrassing. Um, but so you're saying so you're sending her at the heroes like when you're so like you
y-
go in and you let's say
yeah,
you're sending her in, like after the recall. Are you targeting when you send her back in? Are you targeting the heroes or are you sending her
yeah.
at
So usually, what I'll try and do when I go in is first off to trigger the clan castle because I want
yeah?
the clan castle out as soon as possible, and if it can come out to the outside, then your king and your queen can take out the clan castle troops. They'll get frozen because there's always ice golems, but then they're not under a lot of fire when they are needing to get to the town hall. But there's always usually like at least two or three heroes up around the base. So and they're going to go straight after your super hog riders
Yeah, yeah.
because they'll be out in front. But then I'm also running, and I never thought I'd ever do this. I really didn't. I'm running the poison lizard
Are you?
with the Grand Warden. Yeah, it was.
I was
I'm trying to remember
wondering.
who it was. I think it was Shock that actually said, "Yeah, yeah, it goes really well, and it will obviously target the heroes." And
So
I
you're
was
putting
always
it on the
thinking, "Oh."
warden?
I put it on the Warden, yeah, and I'm just very lucky that mine was leveled up because, of course, it's my main, so I wanted to max all the pets, and I've never once used it for this one army. It
So
was always like the ugly stepchild, just
yeah.
hidden away, wishing,
The pity upgrades.
exactly.
Well,
But
like, so are you sending your warden in with that attack? Is it you're not doing a warden walk?
no, 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 no,
No. So that
no.
when if you're gonna
So
do it, you're gonna have to use it like in the middle.
yeah, exactly. So, well, the idea is that, um, and this strategy works the best when the town hall's in the center. The idea is that your royal champion you have with maybe four invisibility spells and the fox. So you'll literally carve out maybe like a small cross section of the base on the outside, hopefully taking out a couple of key buildings. But the idea is okay, get the clan castle troops out, and if at all possible, take down one of the heroes as well, so that you have less to deal with later. But the clan castle's critical because you need the clan castle troops out then, because if they freeze your hogs are done for because
Oh,
there's going to be too much fire growing on them. You then recall the RC, a couple of Peckers for just extending the funnel out a little bit, some Valkyries, just to make sure that you're taking down enough of a wedge that you can then send your an ice golem to block, but then your king and your queen with a log launcher behind. They'll then break open the walls. They'll get you towards the core where you can take out the town hall and any other big key defenses. And then what you want to do is above that section. So you've literally taken out maybe I would say about a third of the base, as it were. So if you took out from say 3 o'clock down to say at least okay, so only quarter. Say from 3 o'clock down to 6 o'clock, you want that entire wedge taken out, and then your hogs will then say go in between say around 2 o'clock, and then they'll just make their way around the clock, as it were. Um, and then you send your super hog riders in first with your warden on ground, obviously, with then the poison lizard. The lizard will take care of any skeleton traps, or it will take down a hero incredibly quickly. And then with the RC, with the boot, and usually with the hog puppet as well. Then the RC likewise can help out with the heroes, can help out with skellies. It will it will help with taking down the buildings as well. And then when she starts to lose her life, you just trigger your ability, and you've got 9 hogs coming out to kind of join your super hogs, and that works really, really well. As long
wow.
as you properly cut out that big wedge. You've
Yeah.
taken care of the clan castle troops, and usually one hero. Then the rest of the army just mops up.
Kind
And
of, I'm losing my diggy on my warden like before I get into the base. Like, and so when I'm
Yeah,
pulling, like the RC usually triggers that pulls the CC, and then I'm losing time on the pull,
yeah,
and so I'm almost wondering if that wouldn't be something that, so Diggy's not there, so I'm not going to burn through the trash from the wedge, right? If I send him in there
yeah,
and let that and then I gain a poison for later on too. I don't
yeah. The
know.
thing,
Worth
yeah, the thing with
trying, I
the
guess.
poison lizard is that it's got very low health. So you really need to be then deploying your warden behind other troops for it to be most effective, because it needs to get in and amongst the troops. So it's then, say, attacking your heroes or attacking the skellies, um, while your main army is being targeted. But I think you like to drop your warden off the side and kind of walk her down a little bit first, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
What?
what I'm wondering
Yeah.
if that would work it for it then.
Yeah, but I was also wondering, why didn't you use the angry jelly? Because then your warden would just target the defensive buildings first of all. The trash behind, you could just drop like two minions or a few barbs or something, and they can then clean up after the warden's gone. There'll be no defenses to attack them because you've just taken them out with your warden. And then you'll speed up as well, so you don't have to get through the trash buildings when you're doing your walk. Um, and if the warden's been pulled down, you just need a little bit of space, right? And
Yeah,
if there is a couple of trash buildings you're worried about, just drop down a baby dragon or something, and it will take care of the two trash buildings to make sure that the rest of your troops don't walk. I
yeah.
think
I
that
never
would
thought of
benefit
that.
you a lot. Huh?
Yeah, I never thought about
I,
that. Like,
yeah, I
I haven't really
feel
seen it too much. Like, I've never really used it, and I think mine's only at.
yeah.
I finally got it
It,
started going up. I think it's on at level 3 right now, but
all right.
um, that makes
Yeah, the
sense. And I don't
alternative.
even think you'd even if it's at level 3, if I just needed to target defenses. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like I'm not getting enough out of Diggy that like that might totally benefit it, or because I was trying like the the mini horse too, or Frosty, or I feel like
oh
there's
yeah,
just some things I got to change, and it's like, okay, that I hadn't even thought about that. I
yeah. I think
He's going to
Diggy's Diggy is
level
good,
4.
as is Frosty, if you're in this situation where you're going to be under a lot of heavy fire, right? Because Diggy's either stunning, Frosty's partially freezing, I guess is what its ability is. But that's not the reason why you're doing your little bit of a warden walk. You're not trying to like go into heavy defenses. You're just trying to cut out a little bit of a funnel. So
Yeah,
you want to get rid of the defenses. That's a critical thing, I guess, in your attack. But yeah, I think you're trying to do everything with your warden. Um, Whereas, yeah, just use the warden maybe for the defenses. Use it just
yeah.
another troop to clean up behind.
It's
That will
really the
probably
legacy
quite well.
things like stuck in my head, like everything.
Yeah,
Like you almost have to clear out the trash like every once in a while,
yeah,
like ground zero kind of thing, because it's like, oh, a piece of this, a piece of this, a piece of this thing, and you're pretty soon. Like, I mean, I could look at my troop or army comps, and it's like this
yeah.
slow evolution, and then pretty soon it's like I have to just to throw out a bunch of things, and I
I
don't
can
know.
imagine. Well, I mean, I've had that going through the different levels. I mean, I used to always use sneaky goblins for funneling. From Town Hall 11 onwards, because I used to use a hybrid all the time. And so that'd be perfect for that. You'd use either, sneaky goblins would always go after the resources. So you could take three of them. That's three mines gone. Take a baby dragon and a balloon if you need to take out a couple of buildings, which are, obviously non-resource related. Set your funnel. But then, yeah, the higher up you go, you need those super troops for other purposes, unless you
Yeah.
do old dragons or something like that, when you don't need anything whatsoever. Um, which I have to admit I'm jealous of. The guys in our clan that just literally they'll take the RC 11 invis spells, they'll take what, 16 dragons, and they'll just 3-star every single time. And I'm like,
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
nothing, like no troops whatsoever. It's all exactly the same. And it's like,
I
I don't know,
just
I
don't
can't get
trust
it to work.
myself.
No,
I
I'm
c-
the same way. It just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't
yeah.
look right. It looks too easy.
I know
Like,
I'd be in there
no.
going halfway through it going, okay, I lost my RC. Now what? Like,
Yeah.
you've seen
But
my
it's also,
RC work. It's
yeah.
not pretty.
Well, the worst thing is as well is it's almost then like a spectator sport, right? You just drop everything and okay, you've
and
got
then
to put down your spells obviously in the right area, but then that's the only thing you do.
and then you're
There's no there's no I don't know, it just doesn't seem strategic enough for me. That's why I always struggled with the big spam armies as well, when it's just like throw everything down and just
and then
drop a
wait.
few spells and you get a 3-star, and it's like that's boring.
Yeah.
I want a
I
bit of
still
stress.
can't do
Even if I
it.
fail, I still want to,
Yeah, a
have a
little
bit
bit of
more control.
fanciness, little
Yeah, I want
fancy.
fanciness. Exactly.
Yeah, make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I wish I could rely on that skill a little bit more. I mean, I'm kind of at that point where I'm even thinking about like, is the RC walk worth it? Like because I'm only using the 3 invis.
Yeah.
Am I getting enough? How are you determining when you switch an army or like what? When do you like? When do you switch it up, or when do you just start practicing it, or do you?
Um, yeah, so I started, I mean, I'm in a very fortunate position that when you run stupid amount of accounts like I do, I mean, I've got what 3 17s
God,
and 2 16s, I think.
and
So
I can barely
I
keep a
can,
time zone straight. So,
yeah. So the good thing is then I can practice like any combination that I want. The issue
oh
obviously is the hero equipment, and I've fallen afoul of that so many times where a strategy will be working really well on my main, and I'll switch it across to one of my other accounts, and it will fail, and I'll be like, why? And it'll be like, oh crap, yeah, of course my hero equipment's not as high up. Um, but I have tried the dragons, because the other guys in our clan do make it look so, so easy. And I know, Shock was showing that quite often. I think he was talking
yeah,
about it a lot about how well it tends to do. And with that, it was I've found there are certain bases when I will switch across to it. And I think usually with me, it's like, okay, if I'm going to struggle to get it with, I'm going to struggle to get the base down with my super hog. And usually it will be a base where the town hall is on the outside, because then I can't get any value of my log launcher. And I've
oh
tried other siege combinations and it just doesn't work as well at all. You need that to get that extra value the log launcher provides. And you also need that proper, like I said, you need a proper wedge.
yeah,
And if town hall's on the outside, you can't get any wedge. So you've got a choice. You either leave the town hall to last and you're brave enough to go for it. I'm not. I always assume I'm gonna fail. So
oh
I just think, no, I don't think that'll work. But I was saying to you earlier, I re-listened to the podcast you did with Shane, and Shane was explaining the way he approached his bases with his dragon, and that he'll send the RC in first, he'll invis, he'll go after some of the key buildings on the opposite side of the town hall, and then he'll just throw everything at the town hall when it's towards the outside, and that works really well. I've found. So if I
mm,
get that kind of a base in war,
yeah,
then I'll switch. But yeah, if it's in Legends League, well, kind of shit out of luck, right?
yeah,
You've got the army, you've got that you've already trained up. But for war, I found that definitely when town hall's on the outside, I'll use dragons, and I'll usually high 2-star, and oftentimes I can 3-star ending.
yeah.
But that's also a bit of a lack of practice. I need to try to practice a bit more. I need to maybe like I was saying, it's good to have a lot of accounts because in theory you can practice a lot,
Yeah, but
right?
then you've got a lot
But
of
at the
yeah,
same time, you've got a lot of accounts, right? So then
yeah.
you have
You're
a
going,
tendency to just try to tick everything off, and get all
yeah,
your events done, etc. So I think that's something I need to take a bit more seriously. Um, and yeah, the guys have been good in our clan. The amount of friendly challenges that we've been doing the last 2 months, it's been incredible. So there's always the opportunity to try something out against
yeah.
a good base as well. So yeah,
When
I
do
just
you
need to step it up.
when do you know when an army's not working, or when do you switch it out?
I would say for me, if I go more than 2 days in Legend League without a triple, I know it's done.
You
Then
know
I know
that's
it's just not working anymore. Because one day you can always have a bad day, right? And
yeah.
and I think I was moaning moaning in chat about the fact that I think one day I literally everybody I got matched against what had a previous finish of top 5,000 in the world.
Oh, really?
And then I'm thinking, what chance do I have? Top five. I mean, the bases are better. They're all maxed
Yeah,
out. And I mean, I was coming close. I wasn't getting completely demolished. I had a couple of like, I'd be getting like 90% or high 80s, but I wasn't getting anywhere near a triple. And but then you drop down, right? You drop down in your trophies and you go to a slightly lower level. These guys obviously are going up, and then the next day suddenly everything's working again. So I think up to a certain level, a lot of strategies work. And if you're comfortable with a strategy and you know what to expect from your troops, then I think you can probably get up, especially as the season goes on, you can probably get up towards 56, 5,700. Um, but yeah, if you're struggling even to get say above 5,500 because you're just not tripling,
yeah,
then it usually means either the bases have just gotten too hard, or in some cases, the strategy just plays itself out.
yeah.
You know,
It's
I
hard to
think you
tell,
can.
like after an update, a new
Yeah,
town hall,
exactly.
an update, like a balance change, like where you going?
Yeah, but it's also player based as well, right? Or player specific. I think sometimes you can get almost a little bit bored with what you're doing and you take it a little bit too easy. You're not concentrating as much. I think in the
Mindless.
beginning, we all exactly, we're all really focused. And when you're doing
Yeah,
well, it's a good thing and you're
yeah,
happy with your triples. And then you get used to it.
yeah,
And then you get complacent and you don't get a triple. Then you get frustrated and it's like, wait, I'm going to go out. I'm going to attack again straight away. And then you'll fail again because you're
yeah,
not focused anymore. Um, and then, yeah, I think then it's also a good idea to go, you know what, try something else. Try
yeah,
something completely different. See, don't just amend or, just try something that you haven't done before. Because there's so many armies that seem to work these days. So
yeah.
why not?
Well, I was switching it up from my Super Bowlers, and then all of a sudden, Super Bowlers are kind of
The back.
back, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why did I abandon you? But I was doing those E Titans, and now I've got to go look at like what people are running with them and just see, because I think what happens is it does. I watch Shock, right? Watch YouTuber, and I come back, and then all of a sudden I'm paying attention to the little things. Like it just is like almost a good warm up to like go watch something, because then you're go,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna drop this and then this, and and like last night I think I went in on a was it my yeah, it was my CWO attack, and I lost my RC, and then I flipped my drop. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I got thrown off, and I've just been in that like rote mindset, like drop this. And my struggle has been, though, which army to take in, because like the Super
Yeah.
Bowlers seem to be working really well in some places, and then I get to like I just don't know how to compare my two armies. Like, am I just am I not three starring because I'm not three starring? I'm doing something wrong, or is it my army? And then like which one is better for which? Like it's kind of that thing where I'm starting
Yeah.
to get multiple armies. I know they're kind of very very similar, but um yeah, like switching up and trying to figure out what I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense at all.
So I think sometimes it's too easy to overthink why you get a 2 star. I know it is it's good to take a look at it. It's obviously good to try and figure out, okay, where did it go wrong? Um, and it's always good to, it's good sometimes, it's good, not even sometimes, it's good to ask others, right?
Yeah,
Someone else will be able to see something you don't see, and it'll be like, okay, you did this or you did that, or it looks like you did this, because at the end of the day, we don't know. It's a game, right? You don't know exactly how the AI is going always for the defenses, etc. And those that say they know exactly why it failed, they have a good idea because they've got experience, but you don't know exactly why something wouldn't work, because you can't redo the attack unless it's
right.
a friendly challenge.
Yeah,
Um, but I think I mean, there isn't that much of a difference, with the bowlers and with
yeah,
the
they're
E
very
Titans.
similar.
Yeah, the bowlers
Almost
obviously work.
exactly the same. Same
Yeah,
spells, same.
well, the mechanics of the core troops different, right? So with the
Yeah,
bowlers, you're obviously getting the advantage of the bounce. So if you've got
the
buildings that are close together, that's going to be a massive benefit to you. Whereas if they're slightly spread apart in a big area, you're going to struggle to get through them. Whereas the E-Titans can, under rage, just push straight through a huge clump of buildings.
yeah,
Um, but you need a bit with the bowlers. You almost need like lines, right? You want
yeah.
kind of like
If I can
lines
get a
of
really
buildings.
nice funnel, then it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And then you can kind of like almost like push through a column. If you can push through a
yeah,
column, your bowlers are brilliant. If you're pushing in and suddenly you've got like a big open space, as it were, with a lot of different troops, I can imagine that makes it a bit trickier.
yeah.
Um, I I don't know how you deal with the wolves. I've got to be honest with you. It's one of the reasons I love Super Hogs. I don't have to worry about the
The
fact that there's
walls.
compartments about the walls. Yeah, I just like jump over them. So that was always my biggest
I
issue.
th-
I've just never understood in any army where you have to figure out, where am I going to put a jump spell, and I
yeah,
need to get my super wall breaker
that's
in,
why I
and
don't bring wall breakers. I'm always just like, you're busting in here, with the like. I think that's why I like the root riders because I don't have to do that,
oh
and
yeah,
then I can
exactly.
use the compartment jump to steer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this never quite goes to plan, anyways. I do like the
It does
super
most of
bowler
the
for the
time. Come on.
blowing up. Like
Yeah.
when you get to a core in the super bowlers, like I've been running them in legends now. Like I
Yeah.
kind of switched over to that, and if I can get him into that core and rage him, it just explodes out. And I'm thinking, I don't know, are you running into time fails a lot? Because that was more of my thinking with like the bouncing too was
Yeah. I mean, thing is, I've only got one rage in my army. So, and
me
I
too.
use it almost exclusively when I take down the town hall. So I've never got my hogs under rage, unless my heroes have just managed to take down the town hall without me needing to use it. But I usually play it safe, drop my rage to rage at the eddies that come out of my log launcher, so that if there's other buildings around the town hall, they'll continue going and they'll get a lot of value. So that does open me up to potentially time failing, and I had that in war this week. I was really proud of myself. I thought, oh, I've completely wiped out this base. Got so many troops left over, and then there was one gold storage right at the very top, and
Oh,
I was thinking, oh, I've got enough time. They'll get up there, and it's like everything went into slow motion,
oh,
and they just took forever to get up there, and then it had like a sliver of health left over it. So,
it's
um,
so painful
oh,
to
it
see
really,
those
really
time.
is. Yeah,
And
but
you get
that's
done, and
also,
you're like, oh, right
but
there.
exactly. But I have a lot of cleanup troops. I take like 4 minions, 3 wizards. Um, specifically for that reason. And I've seen this same attack done by others. I mean, Itsu's got some video I think out at the moment, and he's got like almost no cleanup troops because he really, he's professional, so he's
Yeah.
confident that he'll just take everything out. His spell placement's obviously far better. He's got maxed out heroes, maxed out troops, um, maxed out hero equipment, which is vitally important, I think.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
suppose.
but I've tried his approach, but then I do time fail because I
Mm.
need to have that safety net of, okay, there are, if my hogs are going around, they're not going to touch a storage, so I need to know there's something left over, and I'm not going to rely on the fact that the rider of the hog gets thrown off in just the right place that it can take something out on the outside. So um, I learned my lesson. I've got quite a lot of the cleanup troops, but then that
You gotta add more.
also runs the risk that you're missing one extra main troop or two extra main
Yeah.
troops, which means you can time fail because there's a couple of defensive buildings left up standing. And yeah,
That's where I
uh,
feel like in my current comp right now that I'm debating about taking out the apprentice warden with the
oh
bolt
yeah,
and take him out, add in some cleanup troops. And because it's such a delicate, like if I
yeah.
had one super minion, if I could keep one super minion in reserve, I would. That had been my rule for like I think almost all January was like the only
Keep
time
jumping back.
time fail was when I did not have that 10-second super minion. And so I had to save him for the last like 10 seconds because even when I think that I've got it, right? 30 seconds left, drop the super. No, wait, scan that whole damn base. And then
Yeah.
that last 10, because something pops up or it's hidden in the decorations or something. But I don't know what your
How
thoughts on that
how
are.
annoying are they? I'm sorry, but how it's
Oh,
that is. I know it's a thing now, and yeah, I was what was it? I think Judo did this big video on Legend League the other day, and he was complaining about it as well. That yeah, everyone's doing it, so I have to do it now as well. And but it annoys me so much, all the decorations,
decorations.
and
I'm
it's
at the end going, is there anywhere? Where is it? Where is it? No, I
yeah,
got it. I got
exactly.
it.
And the worst thing is the Teslas. If
Oh, yeah.
I found that those damn Teslas, you can't see them. There's a
Yeah.
Tesla right at the end. It will be invisible if there's the right combination of
Yeah. And you're sitting there going,
decorations
I got
around
it.
it.
Wait, where is it? What?
Yeah.
What?
And that's the funniest thing with Super Hogs as well, because of course they go after defenses first. So there'll be like a
Oh,
hidden Tesla at the other side of the base, and you'll think, well, I've got two buildings to get rid of,
where are they
and they'll
going?
just change direction, run all the way to the other side of the base. You'll be
Oh,
like, no, stay where you
that
are. It's
sucks.
like, oh crap, there's a Tesla there. Oh, okay. And then
They,
you'll well, then I'll time fail normally. So I have to, same as you. It's holding something back.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's also very critical. And I found that also with watching Shock, um, both actually listening to him on your pod, but watching his videos, I think he's really good at explaining things. And you could see that also when he was talking about like holding on to what was it, like the Warden's ability, holding on to certain spells just that little bit longer. Because I
I've
was
been
always safety
pushing.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
always safety first. And then it's like, okay, I'm being attacked. Quickly use the ability, and you don't need to because your troops can soak up quite a bit of damage. But I think
Me
what
too.
makes what makes a really good player and a consistent player versus when feel happy to get a 3-star, but really you're going to get 2 stars, is that how much damage I guess your troops can
Get them.
take. And then, like you said, if like and this is going to fit into your question, oh, should I take away my mini warden? And the answer is, well, how much extra health is he really giving your troops? You run what
I,
equipment do you run on the warden?
The rage gem and the tome.
Okay. So, and do you also take
Or
a
is it
heal
the rage?
spell?
Yeah, I've been taking a heal spell because I feel like I've been getting in to the bases, and I was playing with heal and rage, and it seems like the
Yeah.
heal was just saving me a bunch of times. But yeah,
Yeah.
but
So,
I
but
could.
then if you're dropping a heal anyway, right?
I
And
don't need heal.
you've got your eternal tome. Your eternal tome is going to make your troops invisible for invincible. It'd be nice if they're
Mm,
invisible as well, but
that'd be kind of
invincible
cool.
for what is it, 8, 9 seconds. So during that time, they're not going to take any
Yeah,
damage whatsoever.
probably.
Your healing, your heal spell, sorry, um, it's obviously going to have a benefit for you. You run healers as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your mini warden adding as value? Because you've got healing from your healers. You've got the time, which is going to make them invincible. And when everything starts to get a little bit low, you've got a healing spell. So to be honest with you, I don't
I
think
think
your mini warden probably adds really much value whatsoever, because it's going to be competing with the healers in terms of how much heal it can give, which means one or
mm,
either the healers or the mini warden will be pretty much ineffective for part of it, right?
yeah,
Um, you won't be getting the max out of them, so you may as well take it out.
yeah.
Then you can get your extra super minion. Plus, you've got another 8 capacity of space if you wanted to then take another wizard, a couple of minions, normal minions. Then you have almost like you
Oh
can attack
yeah,
what 4 buildings at the same time with your cleanup. So you
yeah,
have a much bigger safety net than the advantage you'll be getting. I doubt
yeah,
you're getting that much advantage from the mini warden, to be honest. Um, and I think that's the example of safety first, right? Okay, I'm going to
yeah,
load
yeah,
up, load up, load up.
yeah, yeah.
But
Especially post
sometimes,
17, like when things started. Like I wasn't running this combo with the super. I wasn't using the apprentice warden before 17, and like kind of what we're seeing, and then I
yeah,
tried some other things because to compensate, and yeah, like that changing environment. It's like, and then yeah, of course, then I keep it in as like a legacy, or I'm going, okay, well, I'm changing
yeah,
out this
exactly.
thing, don't change this thing at that one time or whatever, and uh whatnot. So are you in Legends then seeing like the difference? Okay, let me ask it this way. If you're looking at the your battle log, like
Yeah.
I'll, maybe 2 months ago, a month ago, and like today, what how do you see the percentages stars difference?
Uh, that I'm getting, you mean?
Well, either like defensive. So like I guess what I'm wondering is are has it changed like the battle log, like what it would look like in the over the last like 2 months, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so if I look through it, so I know, well, if I go pre-17, I think November just before the update dropped, I got my highest ever finish. In terms, not in terms of score, but in terms of placing. I think I got like 5,700 and 46 points, and I came in, I think, around 32,000th place in the world. Which, it's it's not high, but it was my highest.
that's cool.
December, after the update dropped, I got my highest ever finish in points, but I was like 20,000 lower in terms of
Really?
overall score. Yeah, it was ridiculous. What I'm seeing, I think January, like I said, January was terrible. I think January I finished literally, I think I had like 5,300 or something. I had an awful end to the season. It just
Really?
everything went wrong. But that's when I ditched the route riders. I said, I've had enough. This just doesn't work for me anymore. And then I started with the Super Hogs, and then Super Hogs last month I did well. I pushed back up to, I think, around about 5,600 as a finish. Not super high. I had a couple of bad days towards the end.
Me too.
I did that freezing up thing. I think Tyler talked about it as well. You know, where you're coming to the end of the season, it's like, right, I really want to push higher, and then suddenly
Okay.
everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, great. But then this season, I'm around. I think I started the day above 5,500 today already, which I think is pretty high,
Yeah.
for this early on in the season.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
and
top of L. You're rolling
yeah,
constant.
and like I said, I'm steadily getting 5 stars every day, unless, with the odd one day when I just hit too many good bases. And I can definitely see the difference. I think if I'm hitting anybody who, and I don't think most people do this. They actually go and check what ranking the people they go up against are. But
Yeah,
I do it whenever I
I
fail. I
was gonna
always do that.
I
I
was
want to
gonna
get a
say
sense
like
of.
I didn't know you could see that, but
Yeah, so you just go to whoever you've attacked, and then
check
you'll
out
just
with
select. You can select them and go, okay, where did they finish last year, and or sorry, what's their highest ever, and what's their highest last month, etc. And sometimes it's kind of cool because you
what's
see people you recognize, or you see people who've finished very high up, and it's a good way of also, I think, giving yourself a break.
yeah
If you're getting tripled and everyone who's tripling you is very, they've all finished in the top 10,000, there's a reason they're tripling you,
yeah
right? These guys are the top 10,000 players in the world. And likewise, if you're failing against certain bases, I think it's important to know, okay, am I failing because indeed they've got all max defenses and they've obviously got a base I haven't seen before? Or am I failing because something's gone wrong in my attack? Am I failing because, the type of base just threw me? I mean,
yeah
I've failed against bases which have holes in them because they were missing, like,
yeah
because they've got a layout obviously, but they haven't yet merged buildings together. But they throw me because then I'm like, well, where do I attack from? Because
yeah
I'd usually attack from this side, but there's a hole. Do I put my RC in there? What happens if there's loads of bombs and it goes all wrong? And then I overthink things, and then I almost kind of like freeze up a little bit. Whereas if it's, like I said, I'm finding that if the base makes sense, the way I look at it, and it's in, like, the town halls in the core, and I can see those angles of attack, then yes, at least 6 out of 8 times I'll triple it. Um, and yeah, and that's definitely a big improvement from January.
well,
Um,
and I think like that's a
yeah,
really good idea because it gives you that context too, that I wasn't
mm,
thinking about. Like, okay, yeah, I got hit, like you said, is this somebody that's really good? And then you could look at it and go, well, if this is a really good player, right, and they 3-star me, how are they hitting it? Are the 3 stars
yeah,
versus the other things? And just yeah, and if it's lower people doing it, it made me wonder though, like what is your defensive? What's your defenses look like? Like if you were looking at yesterday.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yesterday I was really lucky. I don't know why, but I only got attacked 5 times yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I had like a plus 127 for the end of the day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whereas today, and there's probably another, put it into context, right? There's another 12 hours left of Legends League today. I've already been hit 7 times. But of those 7 hits, I've been tripled 3 times. And I think of the other 3 times, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 times. And of the other 4 hits, they're all under, there's one around about 73%, and the other three are between 80 and 90%. So
Is that pretty typical?
defenses, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. But I've been switching bases out quite a lot as well. Um, I was trying, and I've been kind of mucking around a little bit with my CC troops to see what works. I do find that the combinations matter. I have to be honest, because of what also I think you said it as well. You said, Tyler, that if you ever copy a base, you always
Oh,
use a different CC
yeah,
in
yeah,
order to
because
run
if
something different. Yeah. So I found that's quite important as well. That if you just run, if you see the same base as yours, take a look at what someone else is running, especially if you've copied it. And I think if you run something slightly different, it's like we're changing the placement of traps. That throws people off
yeah,
because then they'll be like, oh, yeah, but that's not how it was shown when I copied the base across, or that's not how
yeah,
his video went with when it was his base, um, and oftentimes
surprise.
that's kind of enough. Yeah, exactly. It's that little bit of a
Yeah,
surprise, and I think with defenses, that's all you can do. You just want to throw somebody off a little bit by just
yeah.
having something slightly different, unless you build your own bases. But I don't know, I've tried it, and I think I talked about that last time that I really want to
To
kind
do
of
it.
like to do it. And I know someone shared a video link in the L chat about how to design your own Town Hall 17 base, and it was so overwhelming, just all the different things to think of. And even what is it? Is even the one thing you'll hear a lot of base builders talk about, and I think Ghost Knight must talk about this quite a few times, is yeah, you want to bait someone into
Oh
coming at a
yeah.
certain angle. And I'm thinking, how do you bait someone? It's like what you make it slightly easy, but surely if you make it too easy, they know it's baited, so they're going to go from another. But yeah,
Well,
I
you
don't
have
know.
to
I
become a
I
master in it.
overthink these things. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
And
yeah.
um, well, like when I look at that base, I go, "Oh, I have to hit it this way because, oh, the spitters, right? Draw
Oh
me in
yeah,
this way,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, and then now, ever since Ghost Knight said that, I'm going, oh, is he? Are they trying to? They're trying to get me to go this way. No, so if they're trying to get me to go this way, oh, is that a trap or is this a trap? Is it a the double bind?
Yeah. I still stand by my previous comment last time. I don't think the spitters are that scary. It's funny when I hear people they're
I
saying,
still,
yeah, yeah, but they're really, really bad. The spitters, I still think the spitters are really good in combination with certain other defenses. And I think, but if the spitters are definitely apart, um, or yeah, so in different parts of the base, right?
yeah,
I mean, at least when my super hogs, I've never had any. I've not really had any fails due to spitters. I've had fails due to other defenses far more. Um, don't get me wrong, they're definitely good, and I
yeah,
think they probably do a lot of damage to certain troops. And I think because we saw what was it, Air getting extra level when Town Hall 17 came out, I really do think that the idea, especially with the cone shape, etc., was that okay, here's a defense that can probably stand up to balloons and dragons.
yeah,
Actually, balloons didn't get an extra level, but to dragons, and for example. Um, but yeah, I've not, like I said, I've not failed because of the spitters, but and I used to definitely with what is it, the Valkyries and Rude Rider army. I would always look for them first because they were very effective as a defense against Valkyries. Because Valkyries are
yeah.
reasonably fast moving, but they're not going to jump over the wall and attack it, right? Whereas the Hog Rider, it just goes wherever he wants to go, which is great. Um,
See you later, Walls.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I do keep a bit of an eye on it, but the reason I'm mentioning is that I used to always send my RSD after them. I think, okay, if I take out the spitter, that gives me a better chance. And trying to kind of like look, okay, where can I get the value? What buildings can I take out? And I found, okay, if I stop looking at a base like that and think of it, okay, I just want to create a path. If I create a
yeah,
path to my troops, you need to trust that your troops can do what they're supposed to do. That's why the armies are meant to be quite effective.
Mhm.
And to be fair, that is what they preach in a lot of these videos on YouTube. I mean, Shock's always talking about you need to get, you have to look at the entry. You need to make sure you're coming in at the right place. Um, but I think, and then it sometimes just means saying, you know what, I'm not going to be scared of this particular defense. It's fine. I'm going to look for my
I'll deal
entry
with it
that gets
later.
my path incoming. I'll sort it out later. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've got a free spell. A free spell will take care of it. I've got a rage.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
I think that probably helps a little bit. Um,
I think that's my problem. I think that's like the a part of my problem, I should say, that creeps up is like that kind of like mindless on automatic pilot is because my question would be for well, what are you looking for then that you want to
yeah,
get with your stuff? But maybe that's really not the question. Like, because with my RC walk, or my spirit walk, what I've been really doing is going in there and kind of looking for the path, but then trying to do my path based on what I can get from my RC in some ways, or like maybe that's a bigger factor in when I'm hitting that base. And what I should really be doing is saying pathing first, spirit walk second, or something. I don't know if that makes sense,
yeah,
but it's kind of like the priority of it. I'm going, well, I could go from here, I can go from here. This one, I really want to get this spitter, right? Or I really want to get in
yeah.
here, so maybe I'll make the funnel work this way.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because you obviously you 3-star, right? So it's not that you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it wrong, you'd never ever 3-star, right?
Well,
So but I guess the question then is more, okay, you're doing it a particular way to get certain value, or where you're seeing, okay, I know that this will cause me a problem, right?
yeah,
And I think with every army, it is going to be different. So with dragons, for example, they don't care what's in the clan castle
right,
because dragons are so. First of all, they're in the air, so if it's a ground targeting, it will never get released. And by the time it is released, usually dragons have already done a lot of damage. If it's like an ice golem, etc. Um, if it's what is it? If it's a dragon, or if it is a lava hound or something like that, or even the ice golems, a poison is pretty effective, right?
yeah,
Um, it's just, but then the difference being, if it's a damage CC, you kind of want to you want to make sure that you get it in the poison pretty quick, right?
yeah,
If it's something that's going to slow you down, you want to draw it out, because if you can draw it out, then you know that your main army is not going to be under fire at the same time. Um, so it makes sense so sometimes the CC makes sense, right? So in my
yeah,
army, it makes perfect sense because it's defense targeting, but they're not going to fight back.
yeah,
So I have to take out the CC. But with the Super Bowlers, and especially the E-Titans, you should never have to worry about a CC, because the E-Titans will rip them to shreds. Um, so then, indeed, for you, then it's okay. What other buildings are going to make sense? And if it's going to be right, there's certain defenses. If it's behind a wall, and that's not where I want to pass,
yeah,
and kind of jump over, then that's a big problem, right? So then it makes sense with your RC, right? I'm going to take out these buildings because I'm not going to path there.
yeah,
So yeah, you're kind of creating a bit of a funnel, but it's because your main army would have to break through an extra set of walls
yeah,
to get to those defenses, or otherwise they're going to be attacked the entire time. So then it makes sense for your RC to target that area. And you're probably already thinking that when you send your RC in, by saying, I'm going to go after the following couple of buildings because I know they do a lot of damage.
yeah,
Um, and it's when you're going after buildings that do damage, that are so far away from the rest of your army, that by the time you would have gotten there anyway, would be at the end, maybe towards the end of the attack. Well, hopefully you should have your RC left over anyway, so you could still use your RC at the end. So then why use it at the beginning?
yeah,
I think that's maybe kind of the way to look at it. Don't go after something for the sake of going after it.
yeah.
Go
That's what
after it
I've
because it's going to have an impact when you're starting to attack.
yeah. And that's what that rote kind of like automatic
Yeah.
thing. Like I have to kind of come back to that place of like thinking about it fresh, and so talking about this stuff, I start to like prioritize, start to go back to the basics or whatever as you kind
Yeah.
of dial in because we've been doing tournaments, right?
Oh yeah. The
Uh,
tournaments.
and I have been not doing so hot in these tournaments.
Oh
Not horrible, but I mean,
no.
it's not like really getting down like too much on myself about it, but because I feel like I've been practicing a lot in hard mode, and I feel like going into it, I feel pretty good. But as I'm starting to get into this hard mode, I'm like, should I be expecting to three? Because
Oh no. No, 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 no.
well, I mean,
Don't
even
expect a
like,
three with a hard mode.
well, I mean,
Not
like,
at our level. Not at our level anyway.
but you
Yeah.
would think like we're gonna start to see some like even in my so I like in the friendly challenges, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to there was like I had a couple I would think I would be able to start to 3-star my own base more often. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
and so what I'm kind of looking at that saying like kind of with everything kind of playing out or kind of changing is like okay, this is working in Legends League, it's working in more, then I get to the hard mode and what do I need to do to get that
Yeah.
extraness?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Um,
is it so then I'm thinking, is it just the overall combo? It's like it kind of sees its real strength, or so I'm kind of like these new modes and
yeah, so we've done what? We've done, I guess you've done three comp hits, right? Um, and because we did two
world
lots
warm
of
up
the
one and
world warm
two,
up, yeah, and then we did a competition this week. Was it
high
high times?
times.
Yeah, and um, we've done a lot of friendly challenges in hard mode, like you said. It's I think that's been really nice to see as well that it's not just been us that've been doing it, then other people in the clan have been getting into it and trying things out. So it's not a lack of preparation because I think that sometimes that gets leveled at people. It's like, yeah, you have to practice more, you have to talk to each other more. Okay, we practice a lot. People give feedback to each other of, yeah, that was a nice hit. Try coming from this side, and I think we've been especially as a small group of us who have been in the different tournaments, I think we've been doing that quite a bit. Um, in terms of the expectations, what I've noticed at least is that I have to attack differently, and I found that out after the first war we did. In preparation for the first war. So I think when we did the first war, I ended up doing quite well. I think I got like an 84% or an
Yeah,
83% two-star, and I was like, oh wow,
that was my
this is
54.
really good. I'm 16% or 20% away from getting a three. I can make that up. Um, but I did realize that I only got to that after having got like 50, 60% two stars in a lot of the friendly challenges because I then switched the way I was using my RC
Mm.
um, in order to make sure that I was guaranteed to get into that wedge that I was talking about. So with the Super Hogs, you need a proper wedge. So instead of using my RC on one side of the wedge, I said, okay, I'm going to really make sure that I'm coming at an angle where my Yetis and my Valks will give enough room where my RC can already take out some key defenses that I want to put my log launcher through
Mm.
because I'm just noticing my log launcher was just disappearing quite quick and that my king and queen weren't getting as much value. Well, that makes sense because in hard mode, the defenses are 20% stronger and your hero equipment's not as good. So if you're used to running, for example, higher hero equipment, you need to factor that in, right? You need to understand that your heroes aren't going to hit as hard as they were beforehand. Plus, I think the stats are a little lower, like 10% lower as well. Oh no, they're not anymore. They got changed. So it's just the hero equipment that's lower. But okay, so now defenses are buff, so they're hitting. So okay, I'm going to take more damage. My heroes are going to do less damage. So if your entire army effectively puts a lot of focus on how much can my RC get, how much can my king get, how much can my warden protect me, then obviously your army is going to suffer that you particularly use. That might work brilliantly in normal
Mm,
mode because you've got like really high equipment, but you are going to suffer more in hard mode. So the way to get hard mode to work, I guess, better is to say, all right, I need to go back to the way things used to be. My heroes are a little bit more being used in a very targeted way, and I need the rest of my army to be the core of what I'm doing. Um, and I found that helped me with hogs. I then tried dragons, and I just failed miserably with dragons. But that's
uh-huh.
very me. With dragons, I either do really well or I fail miserably with them. Like I said, I don't like them. I don't like it's throwing everything down and letting them do their own thing. And I messed up, I think, my giant arrow. I just wasn't practicing
That's
enough with
yeah.
it. And
I'm never
that
touching
goes
that
wrong,
thing.
you're in trouble. Yeah,
I'm throwing that thing away. That one is going because
if it works, it's great. You can
yeah,
take out the sweepers, but um, and again in normal mode, the
it's
dragons
just
have enough to get through everything,
for me. I
even against a sweeper, but not in
guaranteed
hard
to go
mode.
wrong.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So then it's
That
being a bit more
makes.
strategic, right? And I think with
Hmm.
you just try to attack it the same way.
Yeah.
And if you're attacking it multiple times, you're changing your angles a bit.
Hmm.
And then you're finding what's the perfect way of working, and which is the way it should go with friendly challenges. Each time be a bit better, a little worse, until you find the angle that works and the timing that works.
Yeah.
And I think it's then about, okay, you need to take that as a takeaway from your friendly challenges should be, okay, what timing works better? Is it when I'm waiting? Is it when I'm being a bit more cautious with it? What
Hmm.
am I finding works better for you? For me, it was being more cautious. So the opposite of my normal attack, where it's like, no, I've got to hold off, hold off, hold off. I found, yeah, I was holding off, and then if all my troops were dying. So then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I now need to be a bit more cautious. I now need to not assume my heroes are going to take care of a certain area. I have to make sure that I'm going to get my troops to get through that area. Um, and beyond that, I think you just have to be a really good player. I mean, to get a three, I have to be honest, to get a three
Yeah.
star, you can do it if you practice the same base 10 times. You're probably going to three-star it in hard mode, but to do it first time, I think really it shouldn't be something that's expected. I think
Yeah.
it should be like, okay, it's really good when I get it,
Yeah.
but you know, I
And
think like 80%, around about that 75, 80%, that's probably the same. Well, actually, 80% is
that's
the
what I
same as a
was.
three-star in normal, right? Because it's
Yeah.
meant to be 20% harder.
And I think like that's where I felt pretty confident going into. I mean, as confident as you can. Going into those tournaments where I was like I was hitting the FCs and it was like 50, 60, 70%. And then I started the bowlers in there and I was getting into the 80s, like
Yeah.
kind of consistently. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, maybe this is the one. But what I'm really kind of hearing you say is in my thinking to go back to, uh, I think I've been thinking on the macro level,
Yeah.
like the wedge, this, and haven't been thinking on the very particular level. Like, okay, I'm thinking of the wedge, but I'm not looking at the specific pathing of the warden now. Right? I'm going to drop him here. I'm going to let him go through, but I'm not going, he's going to go here, here, here. And if I dropped him a little bit more over here and thought a little bit more about his pathing, right? Because before, I was just worried about time fails, right? So I
Yeah.
just want to get it in and go. So I think like if I'm, I'm putting down the siege, whereas before I was using the flame flinger, and the flame flinger, I really had to think about particular pathing, take this one thing out so I can do this. And so I guess I'm being a little less particular on the opening and certain things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it does because, and which is the advantage also of like the different certain siege machines over other ones, right? When you're sending a blimp in, you just need to make sure that you can get it to the town hall. So you're thinking about, do I need to freeze something? Do I need to take out my sweepers, for example? When you're using the flinger, you really pay attention before you hit to where you're going to put it. Whereas with a siege barracks, I mean, I'm the same. If I use a siege barracks, I just drop it.
Yeah.
You know, I think a little bit. It's like, okay, I want to make sure that my siege barrack doesn't blow up straight
Right.
away because then I'm not getting all the wizards out.
Yeah.
So that kind of defeats the purpose. So you have to then drop something else to draw the fire before you drop it down. But you don't have to overthink about it. You kind of drop it and leave it. It's
Yeah.
going to do its job. And I think that works in normal mode because the siege itself and the troops and everything that comes out, they're strong enough that they're going to do their job, and you can be confident of that every time. Whereas I think with hard mode at least, you can't just drop it anywhere anymore, right? You do actually have to think a little bit more about, okay, are they going to survive or are they going to go down? There's a lot of defenses there.
Yeah, because
Okay,
they'll get
why am I
taken out.
attacking there? Why not?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of tough because I'm the same as you, right? I I can get a like I said, I can get a 3 star if I hit my own base enough times from enough different angles. I can figure it out and figure out the
Yeah.
timing for that one base. Um, and which I still find hard. I don't know these people that say, yeah, hitting your own base is easy. It's not. I've
No,
hit my own
I
base in
was like,
Legends League and been wiped out by it because it's like I know where all the traps are, but it doesn't necessarily help you
yeah.
all the time.
I just don't say anything.
Um,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
exactly. It's like, okay, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. When it's your own
Hmm.
base, you're like, yay, fantastic. It's
Yes,
like, no.
it's rough.
Um, yeah, I think my worst, I think my worst hit this Legends League so far has been against the same base that I'm running, and I think I got
Oh.
like a 1 star or something, and completely messed it up. And it's like, damn it, why don't people do that to me every single time?
Oh.
Um, but no, but yeah. So in hard mode, you just need to be a little bit more on top of everything, I think, and don't assume. Definitely, the heroes are going to take you through, but that's I think the most successful attacks that one, not that I've seen against us, because no one 3-starred us in any of our
Yeah.
wars, which is the other thing, right? It's not like, oh, okay, yeah, we lost wars because people were 3-starring us. We lost what 10-10. We did 2 lots of the fives, right? So we got 10-10-10-10, and then I think it was 6-5 in the
Yeah, I
threes
got a
versus.
one, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah, you got the one because that damn town hall just didn't go down. Otherwise, you would have got like a
Yeah.
74% 2-star, and we would have won the war. So it was that close. And again, it was
Can't remember
your. I
what
think it was
attack
your
it was.
queen was so close to taking it out. Just
Did it get hung up on a
couldn't.
hero or something, maybe?
I
There's
think
one
got
of those
hung up on a
bases that like
Tesla, wasn't it? Like a Tesla was to the
it's
side and
like,
was just pounding on your queen while it was trying to take down
oh
the town
yeah.
hall. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's when those swim.
that thing does go down a lot more difficult. I've
Yeah.
noticed. I definitely did not give that enough credit. That town hall goes down, especially in hard mode as well.
Yeah, where they
When
just
your
I'm like,
heroes are
why
not as
aren't you
powerful,
moving? They get just trapped up sometimes. Like,
they do.
what are you
Yeah,
doing? Like the
yeah,
game froze.
yeah, and I found out as well, don't send your RC into the town hall in hard mode because it does nothing. The RC just is so
Yeah.
ineffective.
Man.
It just takes forever. You burn like 7 invisibility spells before it goes down. At least
God,
I do when I attack it with in that manner. But
I
but
could,
no, but I think Shock said certain armies are going to work better for you, right?
yeah,
And I think it comes down to that as well. Some armies that we use are more involved, like your bowlers army, for example. Likewise, my super hogs. I think super hogs do quite well, but it's the same thing. Is that they go up against too many defenses and they clump together. Yeah, these are troops that
yeah,
are together, right? Something like dragons, which I think are probably maybe one of the slightly more successful ones I would have thought at hard mode. I think they'd probably be quite successful because that if as long as you've got the good funneling, they're not all together in one spot. But you've got hopefully enough of them together, they'll go through the defenses. So I can imagine from that side, probably dragons are a better way to go. Um,
I
but
suppose I
I
should
don't
just,
know.
I could look at it more as like practice a hard mode army. Because I
Yeah,
have been switching them around, a lot. Like I've been switching between the FC armies. I should just pull up a brand new one and try running. I should
I
try
think
Super
so.
Hog and
Yeah. Yeah, because it's different. Like I was saying, the timing is different. What you can expect of your troops is different. I mean, even and especially the levels on the hero equipment, attacking in normal mode versus attacking in hard mode. I mean, I know it's a cliche to say, okay, it's hard mode is harder, but you have to think completely different.
yeah.
You can't allow for the same timing. You can't allow for the same
I wish
reactions from
somebody
your
would have
troops and
told
your
me
heroes.
this.
Yeah, you've only had what Ghost Knight and Shock on to give you all the advice you need, and yet
I'm
still.
still doing it. Oh, one of these
What's worse is
days.
we're all the same, right? We look into your pod every single week and we're writing down our notes and going, yeah, there's really good advice. And we come in and we're like, damn, what
And
was
I
it Shock said again? Crap,
and you
crap,
get
crap.
done and you're like you're doing it really well and then stuff
Yeah.
changes and the people catch
Uh,
up. But I think this is a great place to end the first half of our conversation. And there's much more about this topic and CWL in episode 52. I'm excited for you to hear it. A big shout out to all you fans out there, all you listeners. Thanks for listening. Uh, Shout out to the House of L for all the members now, the returning members that have been coming back, and the new members from the podcast community who have come and joined. And it's just been a blast. So thank you all. Get a hold of us at clashcleanspodcast@gmail.com or clashcleanspodcast.com, and you can find the information for the House of L and whatnot there. Until next time, keep it clashy, everybody.
Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.